game of chess originated in ancient India. The earliest known written reference about chess dates back to 590 AD, and to this date more books have been published about chess than on any other subject. Chess is an international language with millions of players from all over the world competing against each other over the board, by mail, and even by computer networks. Chess in Canada has a more underground status, with less than 3,000 players competing in tournaments sanctioned by the Chess Federation of Canada. The North Bay Chess Club has been promoting chess as an organized sport in North Bay for decades. It provides a variety of tournaments for its members to play in, including the first annual North Bay Speed Chess Championship, which we are broadcasting for you tonight. Chess is not well known as a game involving speed. The stereotypical image of two masters hunched over the board is a pervasive image and is often not far from the truth. Before the modern era of chess, it was not uncommon for players to take hours contemplating a move. The slowest recorded rate of play in an official event took place at a tournament in New York City in 1857, where a game between Louis Paulsen of Germany and Paul Morphy of the USA ended in a draw on move 56 after 15 hours of play, of which Paulsen used 11 hours. The modern era of chess brought with it the use of the chess clock, which regulates the amount of time a player can use during a game. Even with this device, it is not uncommon for a complete chess game to last over 5 hours. Speed chess takes the game to the other extreme. Each player has only 5 minutes on his clock. After he makes his move, he starts his opponent's clock. This process is repeated move after move, second by second, until the game is finished. If you haven't won the game before your 5 minutes are up, then you automatically lose the game, regardless of the position on the board. Instinct and agile hands are the speed chess player's greatest assets. Speed chess is often called lightning chess, and I think you will find that to be an appropriate description after watching this tournament. Each of the 25 players in this tournament are vying for the title of the first North Bay Speed Chess Champion. The players include the current club champion using the slower tournament time controls, as well as players competing in their very first tournament. All the players in the Speed Chess tournament are members of the Chess Federation of Canada, and most of them are ranked nationally. Ranking order is determined by a player's performance rating, which is a number similar in idea to a baseball player's batting average. The better you play, the higher your rating goes, and vice versa when you lose. The strongest chess player in the world is Garry Kasparov of Russia, who is the current world champion. His rating was over 2,800 until the International Chess Federation removed him from the rating list after a dispute over the 1993 World Championship match. The current Canadian champion is 17-year-old Alexander Lichage of Quebec, who has a rating of 2,496. Carsten Jorgensen is the current champion of North Bay, using the slower time controls. His rating is 1843, which makes him a Class A player, which is 2 classes below the master level. His toughest competition in this tournament will come from Class B players, but they are more than strong enough to take the championship title. There are several unrated players in this tournament, but they will all be rated as soon as they participate in an event rated by the Chess Federation of Canada. Speed chess tournaments are not submitted for rating, so these players will have to wait until they compete in a tournament with slower time controls that is rateable. Round 1 summary. Nothing unusual happened. All the top 6 players won their games, as well as 3 unrated players. Our featured match from the second round is between Carsten Andrew Jorgensen, who's white, against Derek Bassett. And round 2 is underway. Derek Bassett is favored due to his higher rating, but in speed chess anything can happen. Black is playing the Budapest Gambit. It's his choice of system. He goes down a pawn in the opening, but he gets it back without any difficulty. My personal feelings about this opening is that Black goes about developing in a roundabout way, but it's used fairly often at Grandmaster level, so it's not so bad. Carsten Andrew is the son of Carsten Jorgensen, the current North Bay champion of the slower version of chess. He gets a great deal of help lesson-wise from his father. Okay, the players have just exchanged off bishops. Black is still down the pawn, but he gets it back now. His knights are controlling center squares. Knights are exchanged. Material is equal. Both players could stand some developing right now. Black will most likely move his bishop now. His queen's bishop. Time is ticking away. Time is always a factor in a chess game, especially speed chess. But there's still plenty of time left to develop an interesting game. Oh, Black just developed his queen to an aggressive position on the board. Black will probably move his bishop now. There he goes. Centralizing his bishop, controlling center squares. Not really threatening anything at the moment. White is being aggressive now, pushing his e-pawn towards the center. His rooks are more or less developed towards the center, so he feels he's going to be able to push Black back. Black is developing his rook towards the center. The half-open file, threatening the queen. No, I'm sorry, there's a pawn in the way. White now wants to develop his rooks, doubling them up on the e-file. White is now threatening Black's queen with his knight. There's an exchange now, Black's bishop for White's knight. White now looks pretty good with two pawns in the center. Black's completely developed now. White's got both his rooks on the e-file, threatening to advance his pawns. Time is relatively even. Black is pushing on the queen side, White is pushing in the center. Pawn exchange. One rook is gone each. Black is now threatening mate on the back rank. White has to protect his rook or prevent the mate, or he'll lose the game instantly. It's looking a bit edgy. Oh, he just blundered. Who does queen? He didn't protect the rook. Checkmate. Derek Brissett wins the second round game. I'm speaking with Carson Andrew Jorgensen. He's one of the tournament directors for this event. He's going to explain a little bit about how the event works.
Yeah, we have about 25 people in our tournament, and which is too many for a round robin, where everyone will be playing each other. So we're using a Swiss system, where everyone will play people with the same points round after round until there's a clear winner. And in this tournament, this should take about 5 rounds.
You're also a chess player, and you're playing in this event. I also understand you won an award recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, in my last tournament, the Canadian Chess Federation presented me a medallion for being the most improved player in the past year.
So does that mean you're almost as good as your father now, who's the current North Bay champion?
No, not yet.
Well, thank you, Carson. Good luck. I'm speaking with Jimmy Matthew. He's an 11-year-old member of the North Bay Chess Club, and he's competing in the first annual North Bay Speed Chess Championship. How'd you do in the first round, Jimmy?
Not very good.
Who'd you play?
Carson.
He's the club champion, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that'll be your toughest game for probably the whole tournament.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing chess?
3 or 4 years.
And what's been your greatest victory so far in your chess career?
Last year I won a grade 6 chess championship, and I got to go to Toronto.
And how'd you make out down there?
Better than I was doing in this tournament.
Okay, well, good luck with the rest of your tournament. Round 2 summary. All of the top 6 players won their second round game except for the top ranked Carson Jorgensen, the 4th ranked Ray Wilmot, and the 6th ranked Ilan Abrigel, who was upset by the unrated Stela Ismail. Our featured game from the third round is between the father and son duel of George Dumas and Matt Dumas. Okay, shake your hands and start. After 2 rounds, George Dumas has half a point and the son has 1 point. This opening system is the Bent Larsen attack, made famous by the Danish Grandmaster, one of the strongest players in the history of the game. This father and son combination are relatively close in rating, so this game can go either way. Black is just castled. White has developed his knight, which now makes him able to castle his next move. Black has just pinned White's knight against his queen. White can't move his knight now without losing his queen to Black's bishop. So far the position is equal for both players. No major fireworks yet. Matt Dumas recently represented the Northeastern Ontario Chess League at the Ontario Under-15 Championship that was held in Toronto late last year. It was a very strong tournament, so he didn't do as well as he does in North Bay, but it's a good experience for him. Black's bishop is now threatened by White's pawn, so he exchanges it off for Black's knight, or White's knight, sorry. Black is now expanding on the queen side with his pawns, threatening White's bishop. White's bishop is now centralized. There are exchange possibilities here. Black's knight is hanging, so he exchanges off the knight for White's bishop. White's knight is now nicely centralized, cannot be threatened by any pawns, so it has a good outpost, threatening squares deep in Black's territory. White has a slight advantage now. Black just moved the knight. I'm not too sure what it's doing. It's not threatening a pawn because White's rook is protecting it. For some reason, White just moved his knight back, giving up his outpost. And he's not threatening anything. I don't see the plan. Black just expanded his pawn into the center. This does not look good for Black. White just took his pawn. White is now up a clear pawn. Black just took that pawn with the knight. He's dropping his knight. White now has a clear advantage of a piece. If it wasn't for the time factor, he should have an easy win in this game. Blunders are very common in speed chess. The pressures of the clock prevent players from coming up with their best moves. Black finally developed his rook towards the center. Could be too little, too late, though. Looks like White is now maneuvering on the queen side, using his extra piece to attack Black's king. He's also threatening the pawn, Black's pawn in the center, I believe. So Black moves his bishop back to protect it. Black advances his pawn, threatening White's queen. Check. Black can't take that knight with a pawn because it's a discovered check, so he has to move the king, which he does. White's queen is still threatened by Black's bishop. Black can take the pawn on g7 because there's two pieces on it, the bishop and the queen. That would give White a check. He doesn't see it. Going for Black's pawn in the center. Black has a dry heath here. He's behind on time. White is now going for the pawn on g7 in the check. Unless White blunders heavily here, he'll win the game. Okay, the pawn on g7 is now unavailable because Black pushed it forward. White senses the win here. He's just trying to keep his control of his position. He has lots of time, so he can afford to take a few seconds. He now has a mate in one if Black doesn't prevent it. White's queen and knight will mate Black's king easily, unless that pawn is protected. Black goes over a futile check. White moves his king out of check. He now has a mate. Oh, Black just blundered. Didn't protect that pawn. White just makes sure. Yep, he has the checkmate. George Newman just defeated his son Matt. I'm speaking with Karsten Jorgensen. He's the current North Bay chess champion using the slower time controls. So how do you like speed chess as compared to the regular form of chess?
Well, I prefer slow chess.
Why is that?
Well, with slow chess, you have a lot more time so you can think up strategies, and then you get more ideas to work with, and the game then becomes much more complicated.
And you don't find speed chess, the excitement from the speed, attractive at all?
It's a fun thing that I do once in a while, but I don't take it seriously like I do the other one. I take the other one seriously.
And what do you find appealing about chess in general?
What I find most appealing about chess is the competition. I like competition. But apart from that, there's the chess culture. We have a lot of people from all walks of life that have a common interest. You have doctors, you have judges. We had a judge in a chess club once.
Oh, really?
And we have laborers, truck drivers, and they all, because of their love for the game, all these people become friends because there's a common interest. So you can go somewhere where there's a chess player, and so you can have friends almost all over the world, even if you play correspondence.
And what's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to you at a chess tournament?
The most exciting thing I think happened to me on the way home from a chess tournament. I was playing in the Northeastern Championship I was up near New Liskeard, and on the way home on the coldest night of the year, the car caught fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it burnt completely up, and the Tilden Lake Fire fighters, they came out to try to put out the fire. And they made ice on the road, and the police had to come and direct traffic because the roads were too icy.
Did you get your chess equipment out of the car before it burnt down?
I got the chess equipment out, but I left some mints in the front seat. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karsten.
You're welcome.
Round 3 summary. All the top 5 players won their third round games, including Karsten Jorgensen. With perfect scores after 3 games are Derek Bissett, Stan Percival, and Eric Macaranian. All 3 of these players are in the running for the championship, as well as Karsten Jorgensen, who's only a point behind. Our featured game from the 4th round is between Derek Bissett, who's white, against Eric Macaranian. And here we are with round 4. The winner of this game will go on to the 5th round and play for the actual championship. Good sports. The game begins. White just pushed his c-pawn. This is called the English system. Black responds with his e-pawn, the hedgehog variation. Both players are controlling center squares. This opening system generally leads to quiet positions, which is why a lot of players favor it. It's very popular at the Grandmaster level. Black just developed a knight. Black just pushed his d-pawn. White exchanged it for a c-pawn. White now has 2 pawns in the center, but Black has a piece in the middle, controlling squares on White's side. The position is still equal. No fireworks yet. Anything can happen. Black has just pinned White's knight against his queen. Eric is a new member of the North Bay Chess Club. His initial rating is 5099, which makes him the highest new rated player ever in the history of the chess club. White just unpinned his knight, thereby protecting his queen, enabling it to move. Both players are being very careful at the moment, not wanting to do anything rash, taking their time. This is still speed chess, though. They will run out of time eventually if they keep this up. Eric would be wise to develop a piece right now. Still unable to castle because his bishop's in the way. Nope, he doesn't develop. He's almost forced to develop a piece now if he wants to win this game. White is ready to castle anytime. Black develops his knight. Derek's been a member of the chess club for a very long time now. White castles. Black has developed his bishop. He's now ready to castle. Black's bishop is now threatened. He either has to move it or take White's knight. I would advise that he move it, though. Otherwise, he's exchanging off one of his only developed pieces. And he moved his bishop towards the center. White has now advanced a pawn to the center. Controlling the center is very important in a chess game. That's, if you give a master chess player the advantage in the center, that's generally all he needs to win a game. But at the lower levels of the game, anything can happen, especially during speed chess. Now Black has just advanced a pawn, giving himself a bad bishop. Black is wavering a bit here. White moves his knight there by retaining it. Black finally castles. And there goes that weak pawn of Black's. Could be an exchange in the center here. I don't think so. Looks like he's contemplating a rook move. No, he moves the queen. Thereby connecting. Black is way behind on time now. He has to come up with something quick if he hopes to win this game. This time advantage gives White lots of time to come up with a winning plan. Piece exchange in the center. White is a pawn up and has the advantage both in the position and time. He should win this game. It's almost a total harvest for White. I can even hear the hay growing. Black just moved one of the pawns in front of his king. This could be potentially very weak for Black. White's threatening a pawn now. White could have probably found a more strong move. Perhaps moving his queen's bishop. Connecting the rooks. White's developing towards the center with his rook. Black is very dangerously close to losing on time. That knight can't be taken by the pawn because that would leave White's queen hanging. Could be taken by Black's queen. White moves his queen, enabling him now to take Black's knight with the pawn. No. Black moves the knight. White is now controlling the center completely with all his pawns. I think right now it's just a matter of time till White wins the game. Derek has plenty of time to come up with a decisive plan, thereby putting pressure on black, causing him to use more time. That pawn push doesn't do anything for black. White's queen is now threatened by the pawn. Doesn't do anything, no black. White simply just moves his queen. And black's flag is down. He loses the game on time if only white sees it. White has seen the flag. Derek Brissett now advances to the 5th round with a perfect score. I'm speaking with Derek Brissett, who's the vice president of the North Bay Chess Club. He's also their main tournament organizer. Tell us a little bit about the North Bay Chess Club, Derek.
Well, the North Bay Chess Club is a non-profit organization. We have approximately 30 members. We meet from 6:30 till about 11 o'clock every Wednesday night. We generally run an ongoing tournament every week. It's 5 rounds. It's set up very similar to this tournament set up tonight. It's a 5-round Swiss, and we play one game every week. And then we start a new one every 5 weeks.
And where do you meet?
We meet at Circle Lake Community Center on Lake Heights Road every week.
And do you run any other tournaments during the year?
We have two open tournaments. This is open to other cities. We run one in March and one in September, generally at the Best Western Motel on Lakeshore Drive. We have, the last tournament we just finished having, we had 46 people, I believe. There was 13 from North Bay who participated, and the rest were from different areas, Toronto, Ottawa, Timmins, participated, and the strengths varied from beginner to master. And our club has different caliber of players also. There are beginners, and there are some of the members who have attained expert level, or darn close to it. We have at the end of every fiscal year, we have the North Bay Championship. The current champion being Carson Jorgensen. He won it last year. What we do is we have a qualifying tournament, generally in October every year. The qualifier, it just mainly decides who's going to play the former champion and contend for his title. The winner of the championship goes on to represent North Bay at the Northeastern Ontario Closed. And then the winner of the Northeastern Ontario Closed would advance to the Ontario Closed, and then from there to the Canadian Closed. The winner of the Canadian Closed goes into the World Cycle, which is another series of tournaments, which unfortunately I've not participated in.
And how far is a North Bay player advanced in this cycle?
I believe the Ontario Closed, this is some time ago, I believe it was the Ontario Closed was as far as we made it. But, you know, there's more tournaments to come.
And is the club open to the public?
The club's open to all players of whatever age. We've lately been on a bit of a drive to try to encourage the younger players to participate, and that's been working out quite well. We've got at least half a dozen players between the ages of 10 and 13 who have been participating. And the ages go right up to, I believe, 65. We have a member who's 65, I believe. So it's open to all. If you like playing chess, the North Bay Chess Club is where you want to be.
Oh, sounds great.
And that's about it. At the end of the show, I believe there's going to be a number that will come up on the screen to tell you who to contact and give you a number if you're interested in participating. The fee of joining is minimal. Doesn't cost very much money to play chess at all. Mainly because we're a non-profit organization. All we want to do is play chess. So if you're interested, give us a call.
And are there lessons available to somebody who would like to learn how to play?
If someone requires lessons or just wants to have chess lessons, there are a lot of qualified people in the club who will be happy to teach or help out players who want to improve. I mean, it doesn't cost anything. It's part of being a member.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Dale.
Round 4 summary. Both Derek Brissett and Stan Percival both won their 4th round games, which means they advanced to the 5th round to play for the championship on board 1. Playing off for 2nd and 3rd place are Eric Macaranian against Mark Boucher and Ray Wilmot against the unrated Selah Ismail. Our featured game from the final round is from board 1, playing off for the championship, Derek Brissett and Stan Percival. This is the 5th and final round. The winner of this game will be the North Bay Speed Chess champion. Derek's played in many championship tournaments before in North Bay. He hasn't won one yet, so he hopes this to be his first one. This is Mr. Percival's first tournament ever in North Bay. So this would be a good way to start his career in North Bay. This is not a common opening. Doesn't have an official name anyways. Black has tension in the center with his pawns and his knight. White's center pressure is through his bishop and knight development on the king side. Black's knight is now pinned by White's bishop. These are all basic opening moves. A grandmaster game would look very similar at this point. White's bishop is now threatened by Black's pawn. Knight and bishop are exchanged. The position is still more or less equal. That's a quiet move by White, just holding the center tension. Black is probably going to develop his king's bishop. Yep, now he's ready to castle. White has just played a holding move with his pawn. Black has a half-open C file. White has a half-open E file. Black has developed his rook towards the half-open C file. Black's consuming a large amount of time. Uh-oh. I believe Black has just dropped his D pawn after a series of exchanges. Yeah, Black's D pawn is now hanging. White now has a slight advantage with the pawn up, and he's also ahead in time. But in speed chess, anything can happen at this point. Black still has plenty of time to win this chess game. White's queen is threatened by Black's bishop. He moves it back to the back rank. Equal exchanges now. I think Black should be keeping as many pieces on the board to compensate for his pawn down disadvantage. Doesn't want to get into an endgame with a pawn down. But this is speed chess and it's a championship event. The pressure must be unbearable. Now Derek touched that queen, so he had to move it. Wasn't too sure where he was going to move it for a while, but he's finally settled on a square. Percival's a very cool player, focusing all his energy on the board. Well, check. White is now at a check, threatening White's queen. or black's queen with white's knight. Queen's now out of danger. Black is still a pawn down. Trying for something here. Has to move his queen again. Check. White moves out of check. Exchange of pieces. Very bad plan for black at this point. He's heading right into an endgame, a pawn down. Yeah, just exchanged off queens. This is now an endgame. White has a definite advantage. And black's down on time as well. Kings advance towards the center. In the later portions of the game, the kings are very important. They can make or break a chess game. Black is just trying to hang on at this point, hoping for a blunder on White's part. Time's now becoming a factor for both players. White is advancing his pawns. Check for black. Also pawn capture. The check is now gone. Check. King's out. Another pawn check for black. Pawns exchanged off. Another black pawn check. White's king is now out of check. Oh, black just gave white a pass pawn. Wasn't for the time factor now, white would have a very easy win. Black has just dropped another pawn. Speed chess, anything can happen. And black has exchanged off his only remaining piece. And his flag is down now. All white has to do now is call the game on a win, on a time flag fall. He can now queen his pawn in the back rank. He's too busy playing to notice black's fallen flag. There's more than enough. White has now more than enough material to mate black's king, but he's going for another queen to make things easier. Another queen. Check. 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 Oh, white has just touched his king. It's an illegal move.
Sorry, touching one side. You're right.
Derek could have won this game on a technicality. And checkmate with the two queens. Stan Percival is now the North Bay Speed Chess champion. And now the tournament summary. Tied for second place with 4 points each was Derek Bissett, Mark Boucher, and Salah Ismail. All alone in first place, our new champion, with 5 points, a perfect score, is Stan Percival. Congratulations, Stan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching the first annual North Bay Speed Chess Championship on McLean Hunter Cable 12.